Hello, my name is Jennifer Simons, and this is my educational specialist project over the effects of implementing SMART goals on the academic achievement of students. I am the literacy coordinator at an elementary school that is kindergarten through fifth grade in Bedford County, and I chose SMART goals because I felt it was a need for the students at our school. We have some really struggling students who are low socioeconomic, a very high EL population, and I felt like this would be something that could help the students at my school. The purpose of implementing SMART goals at my school, I felt like, was the main thing is there's a huge achievement gap starting at third grade going all the way to fifth grade. It just gets larger from third to fifth grade. So trying to find something that will alleviate the increasing achievement gap from third to fifth grade. Like I say, one of the hurdles that we face is we have a large ELL population. We are a very high poverty school. We have lots of low economically disadvantaged families at our school, and right now the majority of our students K through 5 are in RTI. We have the upside down pyramid effect of response to intervention. Of course, the motivation are our students at Eastside. I feel like all the teachers at Eastside have some ownership in all students, not just the students in their classroom. So I feel like our motivation should be increasing the achievement for these students so they can go on to middle school and high school and hopefully even college and become successful citizens and take care of us when we get older. The objective of the professional development that I will do, it's basically going to be on training teachers about what SMART goals are, how to use them in their classrooms, and then just offering support. We will discover in the professional development what SMART goals are and their purpose in classrooms for teachers and students. We will learn about the process of implementing these SMART goals in the classroom. We're going to practice in this professional development creating SMART goals for ourselves. And then we will talk about creating celebrations that we can use throughout the year with our students to promote their success, their achievement. The statement of the problem would be closing that third grade reading gap. It's become increasingly bigger from year to year, and especially when they get to fifth grade, they just seem to be falling further and further behind. And once we lose them in fifth grade, it just becomes, once they get, that 1 to 2 grade levels behind, it just gets harder and harder to catch them up. It especially is very difficult for those economically disadvantaged students and the English language learners to close that gap for them as well, that achievement gap when they leave third grade. The lack of literacy foundational skills combined with the changing of standards has also made it very difficult for teachers to tailor their lessons to fit the needs of these students because of these ever-changing standards and, just teaching different levels of students. So I asked the question, would the implementation of SMART goals increase student achievement and have a lasting effect on closing the reading gap? The significance of this project would be the main goal, increase academic achievement for all students, not just those students who fall behind, but also those students who, need enrichment and who need pushing. Creating self-efficacy within our students, making them take ownership for their learning, and hopefully once they see that they can achieve, that will boost their self-confidence and they'll become more motivated to just keep pushing themselves. Definitely reducing the amount of students that are in RTI. We want to turn that triangle around so that we have less students in Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention and more students that are in Tier 1 that don't need any intervention. And of course, closing that achievement gap for grades 3 through 5. Some of the literature that I studied I looked at 4 themes. 4 of the themes were looking at personal learning communities. All of these, of course, affect the implementation of SMART goals. Having successful and effective personal learning communities was a key. Teaching that self-efficacy for students, making them accountable, helping them become accountable for their learning. Feedback. Feedback is huge. Giving that specific feedback to students to help them, find their path or find what they need to help them move forward. And then celebrating that achievement, celebrating those successes, small term successes. We don't want to wait till the end of 9 weeks to celebrate what they've done. We want to take, once they've learned that goal, once they've achieved their goal, to celebrate that goal. One of the main research studies that I looked at was from DeFore and Aker. I looked at revisiting professional learning communities at work, new insights for improving students, for improving schools. This talks about the belief of that educators must work collaboratively and take collective responsibility for the success of each student. It's also important when implementing SMART goals. We all need to be on the same page and, treat all of these students as they're our own, not just the students in our classroom, but the students in grades K-5. We need to take ownership of all of them and collaborate together to find what best works for them. I also looked at Munoz and Hoja, how setting goals enhances learners' self-efficacy beliefs and listening comprehension. This was a research study that involved 40 students at 2 public schools. The children ranged from ages 11 to 15, and they focused on 7th and 9th graders. It outlined the relationship between SMART goals and students' self-efficacy beliefs, and listening comprehension was the focus. The first group, they received just 1 intro class for about 110 minutes on SMART goals, and it was a very self-directed type learning. The second group received 10-week lessons that were also 110 minutes each on SMART goal setting, and they used songs and to enhance the listening comprehension and different activities to help them retain the material better. Each lesson was specifically designed to meet the student's specific SMART goal in this group, and students were asked to plan, monitor, and assess their goals. Students were also asked to journal their obstacles along the way, so they were doing a lot of reflecting. They were given a self-efficacy pre-test and a self-efficacy post-test, and they were applied with feedback from teachers that were given to the students. The results of this study showed that 35% of the 7th graders showed improvement when using SMART goals, and 52% more of the 9th graders showed improvement in SMART goals and the changing in the learner's self-efficacy beliefs and listening. The next research that I looked at was by John Hattie. I looked at his visible learning for literacy research. He does tons of research on the influences on student achievement. He's a researcher who has done an enormous amount of research with students' achievement and what influences that achievement the most. He ranked these influences, which was a list of about 100. He listed them by their effect size. I was looking for one that would fit in with SMART goals, and feedback is big when we're talking about implementing SMART goals. And feedback ranks in the top 10, and its effect size was 0.75 on student achievement, which is huge. To be in the top 10 out of about 100, you get a lot of bang for your buck there when using feedback. The last research that I looked at was Learning by Doing by DeFore and Aker. And the belief in this study was that sustained effort from both the teacher and the student requires celebrating those short-term successes. They also emphasize that it's not just the achievements of small victories, but it's the recognition of those victories and the people behind them that will sustain that momentum for change. These were not all of the research that I looked at, but they were some of the main ones that led me through my process of researching SMART goals. The technology that I chose to integrate into my professional development is going to be an interactive presentation, Nearpod. I learned a lot about Nearpod. It's not projected on a screen or displayed through a Promethean board. It requires a handheld device, and you can also use it if you don't have enough handheld devices. You can use it on desktops or laptops. It offers a large amount of presentations that are already there for you to choose from, to search and choose on topics that can be downloaded. Some of these are free and some of these can be purchased, and it also allows you to create your own Nearpod presentations, which I found was helpful for this professional development because there wasn't really anything that I could use for SMART goals, but I could create my own Nearpod presentation to fit the needs of the teachers at my school. You can interact with videos, real photographs. You can even go on virtual field trips, and it also offers different formative assessments. Share knowledge with teacher on subject matter. You could students or teachers can draw. They can type a response. They can drag and drop, multiple choice. You can do polls, and you can take quizzes. Another good thing about Nearpods was that you receive immediate feedback from whatever your audience is, whether it be teachers or students. You get that immediate feedback, so you can get that child where he or she is if they don't understand something, and kind of reteach whatever is not understood. Again, you can give that real-time feedback to students, which is extremely powerful, which I talked about, that John Hattie emphasized. You can also share student responses without having their name displayed, but share those responses, which can foster a lot of student discussion. You could share answers that were wrong and discuss why they're wrong, or again, you could share those answers that were correct. So Nearpod is the technology that I'm choosing to use with my faculty. It will be a faculty presentation. I'm also going to use PowerPoint and some videos. Here is just a few snippets of the Nearpod presentation that I made. The first one shows you, it is a poll. You are ranking the 10 influences of some of John Hattie's work that I'll go over in the presentation. And the next one shows it's a multiple choice that teachers will choose from and ask them a question, and they choose the answer. And then I have a video at the bottom that will show. And then they're going to reflect. So they're going to write their own answers. And so they'll be able to, and then again, at the end of the reflection, share our answers. That's something we can look back and talk about the answers from the teachers. So thank you for your feedback on my presentation. I appreciate it. Any help is great help. And the last slide is the references that I used for this presentation. So thank you.